Kenya, in areas in northern part and southern part, if there is water, there is private sector interest. Look at TIC so that we see if we can increase. But it is the question of pricing. If it is cheaper, we export pigeon pea, everything to you, and your wheat is cheaper, why not buy from you? This is what we have got to look at.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah.
Very quick question. Wheat is not a very sturdy crop, but it's a wonderful crop because wheat is grown in Siberia. Wheat is grown in Saudi Arabia. Two extreme climatic conditions, and therefore, with the right variety, choice of right varieties, right technology, right agriculture practices, right input management and agronomy, it should be possible, in my view, to produce wheat in Africa, in many of the countries. Out of the 54, many should be able to produce, but you need those policies, you need those institutions, you need those right kind of varieties. A lot of work needs to go into that. Point taken, sir. Thank you very much.
Fine. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a big round of applause to our esteemed panel, and to each and every one of you participated. We love the participation. We encourage this, and I hope this has answered questions to many of you who had them in your minds. At this moment, I would like to take the pleasure inviting up on stage Mr. Gurjar Rajesh Patil, who comes in from the Madhya Pradesh Industrial Development Corporation Limited. And I also invite Mr. S.N. Mishra, Vice President Procurement and Commercial, Centenary Bioproducts Private Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, they will be presenting felicitations to our esteemed panelists on behalf of everybody here. And I do invite you to join in with a nice warm round of applause as these are presented. Welcome, gentlemen. I invite you to join with a nice warm round of applause. So here we have it, as Mr. Gurjar Rajesh Patil and Mr. S.N. Mishra now present these felicitations. Firstly, of course, to our moderator, Mr. Mrutyunjay Jha. Let's have a nice warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much, sir, for moderating this fabulous panel with your insights and views. To Mr. Sanjay Sethi. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you have all benefited extremely from this panel. Please do join in with a warm round of applause in appreciation of all the views and insights. To Mr. Dilip Mohanty. Thank you so very much, sir. To Ms. Garima Jain, thank you so very much, ma'am. To Mr. G.K. Sood, thank you so very much, sir. And finally to Mr. G. Chandrasekhar, thank you so very much, sir. I invite all our dignitaries to kindly come forward for a group photograph, please. Thank you so very much to our esteemed panelists for your thoughts, views, insights, opinions, and sharing this knowledge with us today here in this panel discussion on grains and wheat. And with that, as we conclude this session, we thank each and every one of you here. I would request Mr. G. Chandrasekhar and Mr. G.K. Sood, sir, if you can kindly stay back on stage. And ladies and gentlemen, as we have the stage aligned and ready for our next panel, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce the panel discussion on evolving sugar trade, India, Africa, and the global market. This session will be moderated by Mr. G. Chandrasekhar, Agri economist, who is already present here on stage. Joining him is Mr. G.K. Sood, who's already here on stage. And I now invite the rest of our panelists to kindly join us. We have present in this room Mr. Tayyab Balgambala, Director of Sea Trade Group of Companies. I invite you to kindly join us on stage, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please do join in with a nice warm round of applause. I also invite Mr. Kapil Nema, Dalmia Bharat Sugar, to kindly join us on stage. Let's have a nice warm round of applause. Thank you, sir, for joining us. I also invite Mr. Pradeep Dhokare, Managing Director, Universal Forces Industries. Please do join us, sir. I also invite up on stage Mr. Dipinder Singh Basra, Commodity Analyst, Greenpool Commodity Specialist. Once again, Mr. Dipinder Singh Basra, please do join us. Thank you so very much, sir. And I'd also like to invite, last but not least, Professor Kenneth Michel Bengesi, Director General, the Sugar Board of Tanzania. Please do join us on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very exciting session on sugar trade, India, Africa, and global market to commence in a short while from now. I also invite Mr. Deepak Parikh. Sir, if you would please join us for this session. Mr. Deepak Parikh, ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, from Honeybee Tech Incubations Private Limited. And now that we have our esteemed panelists up on stage, certainly a very exciting session to look forward to. I hand over to our moderator, Mr. G. Chandrasekhar. Sir, please do take this forward.
Friends, it's such a delight to have been asked to moderate this session. Sugar is an absolutely sensitive commodity as far as the global marketplace is concerned. Brazil is the largest producer, as we all know. India is the world's second largest producer, and then you, of course, have Thailand and other countries. I'm quoting from the latest OECD FAO report that was issued last week. The first one, low and middle income countries across Asia and Africa are expected to drive the growth of global sugar demand. And this is fueled by sustainable income growth. For both in Asia and Africa, demand is going to rise because of population increase and income increase. Okay? Next one, moderate demand will prevail in other regions. We all know, of course, health consciousness, shifting consumer preferences, etc. in obviously middle and higher income countries. Third, sugar production is expected to expand very clearly, with sugarcane continuing to drive over 85% of total sugar production. Okay, and therefore a small part, 15%, comes from beet sugar, but 85% is actually cane sugar. And Brazil, the report says, is projected to consolidate its position as the world's leading producer over the next 10 years due to expansion and replanting of sugarcane plantations. Okay. Varietal improvements and higher extraction rates are expected to drive production increase in India and Thailand. Again, these are important debate on this. Sugar crop-based ethanol production will continue to shape the sugar market. Okay, I think that's extremely important, and all of us know why and how. In Brazil, the allocation of sugar cane between its two main uses, sugar and ethanol, is expected to continue in response to outlet optimization, though international sugar market conditions are anticipated to favor export-oriented sugar production. While in India, sugarcane-based ethanol production will be supported by government measures to diversify the sector. And we all know that it's happening. Exports are projected to be increasingly concentrated, while imports will remain more evenly distributed. And obviously Brazil, as we all know, will continue to call the shots. will be the leading exporter. And Thailand and India will, of course, follow, but at a distance. Most important, sugar prices are expected to decline slightly over the next 10 years, although subject to many uncertainties. Extreme in the sugar market, fluctuations in the relative profitability between sugar and ethanol, all these are going to drive this market. Therefore, while production is expected to rise, demand is expected to rise, there are a lot of uncertainties relating to the sugar sector. It is in this context, in this setting, Sood Saab, what are your thoughts on building a sugar bridge between India and Africa? Can we trade sugar? Is there an opportunity? Are we in a position to meet Africa's growing sugar demand? Of course, India's own demand is fairly high and growing, and there are challenges relating to our production and production growth. Is there any specific recommendation that you would make or a strategy that you will have in mind that will encourage greater trade in sugar between India and Africa?
Thank you, Chandrasekhar Saab. The bridge will have 2 lanes, one larger, one smaller. Africa imports a lot of sugar. Right now, about 10 million tons. The production is rising, consumption is rising. Fastest, about 3 to 4% per year. And that is India, great opportunity for. As far as India is concerned, in one word, India won't have much sugar to export in the foreseeable 10 years. India's sugar cane production has been in a tight band in 10 years, between 400 to 450 million, depending on how the very concerning that it's stagnant. And I don't see many varieties in the pipeline. And the star variety, which raised the production in 2014-15 onwards, is already tired, and that is, it is to be replaced, and it's not happening fast enough. On the other hand, climate change. We have floods in places which have never seen even rainfall, and that kind of climate also increases the pests and diseases, which is a big burden, which happened in UP last year. So India's demand is growing by about 1.5% per annum, sugar demand. I suspect that even the availability for ethanol in India would squeeze, because sugar, in spite of what the sugar industry would like us to believe, that they're an energy industry, it is a food industry. And because 92% of sucrose in India we are consuming as food, only 8% as energy, and that is going to shrink. And therefore, export will be seasonal, off and on, when there is a bountiful production. Now the other bridge, other lane, which is smaller lane, that is a smaller lane, the export. The larger lane is technology, collaboration. Brazil can not only feed itself, Africa can not only feed itself, but it can feed the world on sugar. And Indian sugar mills are, they are the most advanced technology. Not all of them, about 20% of them, the 80-20 rule. And we have excellent production of equipment, no technology, we have ethanol technology. So the companies, in fact, Mr. Kapil Nima is already investigating how their company can collaborate in Africa. So the opportunity lies more in intervention of the kind Mr. Sethi was saying, that you come and invest. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that makes it very interesting. One more factor that can potentially affect bioenergy prices over the next 5 years would be the crude oil market. Personally, I'm rather bearish on the crude oil market. Come 2030, I will not be surprised if Brent falls below even $50 a barrel. That would make your bioenergy economics completely unviable and hugely, it will become a fiscal burden. Therefore, that's another factor that we probably have to have already. It can worsen. It can worsen.
On rice, we're subsidizing $1.3 billion a year, the FCI rice. On the other hand, the consumer is subsidizing, buying ethanol at 65. And so, well, you're considering, and another pressure which will come is from Brazilian corn. It is already 30% of the ethanol is produced from corn.
Absolutely. I think.
Deepinder is a presentation.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you have a presentation? Yeah, you have a presentation. I wish you had made it first. Okay, start with the presentation. Deepinder, please. I didn't know.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, it's evening. First of all, I'd like to thank Tasso and Suvir for inviting me here. The event is at this panel is of personal importance for me. I'm sharing stage with my mentor, Mr. Sood, who was my first boss. He taught me the basics of commodity trades. I'm a master's in agriculture, but he taught me how to trade, how to analyze, and I owe my career to him. And so, and my Mr. Gupta, who is joining us remotely, was my second teacher. Starting with, can we go to the third slide, please? Yeah. Just to give you an overview of the global sugar production, these all values are in raw sugar terms, not in white values. So we are projecting, as Greenpool, we are projecting a deficit for 24-25 season, October-September, which is going to be a 1 million ton surplus for 25-26. The major driver for 25-26 surplus is basically increase in sugar production in India and Thailand. Next, please. Breaking the deficit, surplus for 25-26 on to regional basis. The swing factors have always been Asia, which is more or less driven by India and Thailand, and North and Central America. Otherwise, if you look at Africa, it's a structural deficit. Next slide, please. So just to, we'll expand on Africa's deficit in a bit. So just looking at their production, the long-term sugar production for Africa is between 10 to 12 million tons. But their demand is about 25 million tons. The consumption growth is 1.9%. That's what we are projecting against global sugar growth in sugar consumption of 0.8 to 0.9%. So Africa is growing at least at double the rate of global average. The continent is more or less somewhere about 47% self-sufficient and has to import about 13 million tons of sugar. A ballpark figure. Next, please. Breaking Africa into, this is sugar production, and the two major sugar producers in Africa are South Africa and Egypt. Egypt is mostly about 2.6 million tons beet and 2.4 beet and 0.6 sugarcane. Tanzania is more or less flat as of now. Next, please. So that's where the deficit, we can see the deficit. There's inter-regional flow of trade of sugar between Africa and the import. So that's why we want to look at as net import and their production, and we can see they have a kind of deficit. If you look at the import figures, the exports from India are basically toll refined exports. So we can, at the back end, say that those exports have come from Brazil itself. But because they are white sugar imports coming from India, but told in India, but actually raw sugar came in from Brazil. Next, please. Can you have the second last slide, please? We have discussed this. Yeah, that's fine, sorry. So those are my suggestions for the panel discussion. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dipinder. I think you've set the context so well. Very, very interesting. I'm now going to, you have any thoughts on this, on this? Do you have any thoughts to share?
I mean, as an
You've set the agenda.
Yeah.
I want
As
you to share your thoughts on this.
As an analyst, what we are looking. Am I audible? Yeah. As an analyst, what we are looking at African market is where the actual sugar is coming from, and what's the growth perspective to have for Africa to supply their own sugar. So we are looking at 30 million tons ballpark for African continent, without including accounting for any consumption growth. So that 13 million tons, of that 30 million tons in coming 5 years, how much is coming from within Africa, and what's the import potential going forward? And then come in the factor of prices, how much sugar we have in India and Thailand, and what's the import scenario, like we have policies in Pakistan that are evolving, how would that impact the trade flows? Because it's a price-driven market by any sense.
For beet sugar, by any chance?
I would say sugar is sugar.
Okay,
So
all right.
they'll
So
import any
it's
sugar.
immaterial.
Egypt
Correct.
is growing beet.
Right.
Egypt is primarily a beet sugar
Right,
producer.
right. Then wouldn't Europe be looking at Africa to supply beet sugar?
The cost of
I'm not
production.
thinking, I'm just throwing,
No,
throwing a googly.
their cost of production,
Yeah.
one, Europe is in self-a deficit.
Yeah, true.
They are net importers.
Yeah.
But somehow, and they import from Africa because of the tariff, preferential tariff. So they bring in import from Africa. So I don't see Europe ever exporting to Africa.
Right.
I think,
You don't-
before my days, Europe used to export
Yes.
sugar, but not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay. All right. Thank you. Very interesting.
Thank you.
We'll now go to our young friend Tayyab from Pakistan. He also tracks what happens in this region, Afghanistan and the former CIS countries, etc. Tayyab, what are your thoughts on, one, Pakistan sugar market, the imports that Dipinder is talking about, and your address? And more important, also talk about, is there any opportunity for collaboration with some of the African sugar importing countries? Yeah.
Thank you, Chandrasekhar ji, and thank you to Tasso for the invitation to be on the panel. Pakistan, last year we had a very good production, 6.8 million tons, and we ended up exporting around 50,000 tons. And this year, similar to India, we had a heat wave, we had pest damage, and all the guesstimates, as I call them, were off. So we ended up with a carryover of 400,000 tons. Production, which was anticipated to turned out to be 5.8 million tons. And our consumption compared to last year, we see a small growth. So the shortage which we are foreseeing in Pakistan, potential imports are announced a program of 500,000 tons import, in which we had actually a tender opening, in which unfortunately due to the skewed requirements such as discharge port final payment and very short shipment window, nobody basically offered. So there are now two options for the government, three options. One is to go for a G2G program, which they are already discussing, a much more proper tender in line with international standards. which everyone is proposing. And the third is just to, because our season starts November 30th, to start the season beginning of November. And that would entail, the shortage to be covered of 200, 250, which is not that big a number. But the local prices have just been climbing up. So the government is in a hurry to import this sugar. So we feel that something will give, and hopefully the government will understand the dynamics of the international trade and float a tender which is more realistic. So that is the Pakistan scenario. As far as what you asked about Afghan, unfortunately, because of the transit trade banned from India through Pakistan, most of the sugar is going through Bandar Abbas and in Iran. But that is serving as very costly for the Afghan markets. And Al Khalij has been holding back the offers because of this tender for the last 1 month. So I foresee a potential shortage of or a spurt in demand from Afghanistan and CIS countries in the next 15, 20 days. And they will pay higher prices also even to the Indian markets, even to Al Khalij or wherever the sugar comes from. As far as your question about Africa is concerned, Pakistan sugar in the past has gone to African markets in big volumes whenever export was allowed. But unfortunately, during the current export program of 750,000 tons, the biggest bottleneck was the high freight from Pakistan to Africa. So yes, the sugar is liked here. We can cater to the demand, but we are not regular exporters. One, that is the problem. The second problem is the high freight currently. Despite the drop in crude, we have not seen the equivalent drop in freight. That is the problem we're facing across all commodities, whether it be rice or others. And one more factor I want to point out about Pakistan is that we are finally now moving towards, the government is finally taking 2 steps. One is they formed a committee to deregulate the sugar industry, which is a very good step. The second is that they're coming up with a raw sugar policy, because we have a captive market in Afghanistan and CIS. So it makes logical sense that we import raw sugar and our season goes. So those are 2 positive steps taken by the government, and we're hopeful that with deregulation, we will be a regular importer and exporter in the world sugar market.
Thank you very much. My 2-penny advice, I think your sugar industry must lobby the government, discourage the government from doing this G2G transaction, and tell them that the private sector will import more efficiently. Anyway, I'm going to Kapil Nema, of course, obviously represents Dalmia Bharat Sugar. He's been closely tracking developments in the sugar sector around the world, but with a particular focus on Africa. Is that right? Okay, one second.
I mean, it includes Africa.
It includes Africa, but okay, all right. But there is now reason to believe that you have some plans for Africa.
No, not really. We are these
Okay,
and
all right, all right. So what are your thoughts on how do we build Asia-Africa relationship in sugar? Any thoughts on that? And about also global sugar production, consumption, trade, and price numbers or views that you may have?
I actually have a view on a agri sector as a whole. Tanzania has a lot to offer, and India has a lot to take. We are very regular importers of pulses here from Tanzania. We export a lot of sugar into Tanzania thanks to the back-end, thanks to the port refineries which are sending. So, I mean, if you look at the import structure of Tanzania or, Africa as a whole, they produce, the local sugar mills in EAC countries produce brown sugar for their own consumption, and practically that is more or less balanced as per for their domestic consumption. What they import is white sugar, which none of the sugar mills in the EAC countries are producing, and which is also very logical, because white sugar is getting traded on the world market, basically the world market, and it is much cheaper when they import versus the domestic prices of brown sugar, which are pretty high than compared to the white sugar market. So I mean, there is, so in this white sugar imports it's been served by the Indian port-based refineries. So there is a decent trade flow in terms of sugar, which is already happening, and also in terms of the other agri commodities. We have seen, previously a lot of African countries have been inviting investments via offering land banks which are very rich in terms of the soil, in terms of soil fertility. I mean, a lot of it's a black cotton, virgin soil, if you look at it at the core of a lot of countries. And opportunity, if you are as India, as the Indian industry to do farming of the agri products. Where by doing farming you control a lot of cost, and by controlling cost you can actually bring down your production cost, and eventually it can start reflecting to your bottom line. So that way, there is opportunity which is there. I mean, of course, there's a lot of other aspects to it, which includes the primary thing is, if you come and invest in a country, how the repatriation works, how your investments are properly hedged. So these mechanisms are still something which are a little missing today if you go deep in it. The cost of working capitals are very high still in these countries. So these are, a couple of things which needs to get streamlined before, we will see Indian counterparts getting here.
So there are opportunities, but that these opportunities need to be explored is what you're talking about. Oh, thank you very much. I'll go to Deepak, who tracks a large number of commodities. Deepak always has his own perspective. Deepak, you heard all the expert panelists. And we are discussing global production, consumption, trade, prices, sugar as food, sugar as bioenergy, which has obviously a certain correlation with crude oil, etc., all that. When you put all this together, where do you see, and then there are issues of sustainability, etc., all that. Water intensity of sugar crop, at least as far as India is. All this, churn all this together, somewhere I think we need to get a clear view of where is the sugar sector going, and where are the opportunities for India, particularly to build bridges with many of the African countries. Are there opportunities from a sugar perspective? And it need not be sugar as food, it can be sugar as bioenergy, or it could be anything else. It could be technology, it could be cultivation, whatever. Your thoughts.
Yes, so I'll start with a very pertinent point. Actually, we talk about the Africa's demand being very high. So, first of all, I would be having a little bit of disagreement with you. Sir, I've been seeing the production of sugar and sugarcane in Africa, and because of lack of time, let's talk about our host country itself, Tanzania. 2021, Tanzania produced close to 3.5 million metric tons of sugarcane. This year it is 4.8 million metric tons. There is ample interest in developing sugar industry by the government here itself. There are a lot of investment, and in fact, when we talk about, which took, for example, 40 or 50 hectares, right, to start cultivating for their captive use. I'm talking about small the factories or a small processor. So they have not been able to use whole of their land, because actually from 40 to 45 tons per hectare or acre, they have reached a productivity within 4 to 5 years of 240, 250. The jump in productivity, the beauty of this land, sir, I have personally seen, you can shake hand, I'll take you there. We'll go after this event if you want to do those sugar factories. So at a grassroots level, the productivity is pretty decent. Now I'll talk about the sugar number itself. So for example, Tanzania, we are looking at 750,000 metric tons of sugar being consumed. you are looking at export on close to 250,000 metric tons of sugar in Tanzania. So even if you see that number, right, creepingly it is decreasing. So I would not be surprised in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years time that Africa would be producing 70 to 80% of their own demand. So that is one point. Definitely, like, India look at any of the African nation actually as a possible markets, right? So we would be very eager to export millions of tons of sugar here. But I believe, like, that the productivity eventually in some of the East African countries would be better than India moving forward. That's a possibility, and that's just because of the beautiful agroclimatic zone and the beautiful land they're having. And if you add technology, I think this is where India need to be very interested. Are we able to export our technology, capability, understanding, rather than, and manufacturing here, rather than making it a place where you are able to dump your commodity when you have excess? Let's not treat Africa like that.
Don't look at commodity, but look at commodity-related services.
Exactly. So this is where I believe, like, we Indians or Pakistani for that matter should be seeing that we create employment, we create capability, we bring in whatever we have learned, whatever we have done wrong in past, right? Not let Africans do that and be friend to them. That's one. Now I'm coming to the second aspect, which is about the bioenergy itself. Now, again, in fact, very recently, one of my papers was published in one of the very, I don't want to publicize them, so it was a very renowned journal which has published this paper. So the carbon intensity, when we talk about ethanol from sugar, is the least when we talk about any of the ethanol being produced by any of the sources. The Indian ethanol policy also was having intention that eventually we will be 50-50%. 50% of sugarcane or molasses, or syrup or molasses, and 50% grain. So last year, the balance have tipped in favor of grains. Unfortunate reality. Now, if you want to use only ethanol from maize for ensuring we reach 20% target, you will have to cultivate whole of Punjab with maize. While we can do with 1/3 of that in sugarcane. So I would always say, because he is in hurry to, like, end this session, I would say if ethanol is coming from grain, apologies to those who don't drink, I would like that ethanol to be in my glass, not in my car. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. I agree. Friends, okay, very quickly, this elite panel has 1 or 2 minutes more, and therefore we can take 2 questions at best. Any thoughts? Okay. So let me go back and request our panelists if they have any additional thoughts that they want to share with this august audience.
Sir, I would like to do it. I got minimum time. So that's always when you are sitting the last, like, you always end up with a residual time. So I would like also to draw attention of one very important fact, right? Coming to, again, sir, the bioenergy part of it, right? Going forward, sir, we have to be very careful about something which is happening thousands of kilometers away. That's United States of America. They are trying to put the things change there. The BTA, that is bilateral trade agreement which India is trying to sign with US. There is a lot of push that actually to allow us to, or push us to import ethanol from there. If that happens, I believe a lot of the production facility which is happening in India, we have invested humongously in that. That would be in a great, I'll say, actually, yes, eventually, many parts of the world. But we ourselves, we have, I think, put us ourselves in box by trying to talk 20%, 30%, 40% blending. And I don't think, frankly, the foreign currency earning which we have been trying to, carry 3,000 crore rupees of saving of forex. I think, somebody do the right calculation, that number would be far, far smaller than that.
Yeah, sure. But just to buttress, to support what you're saying, look at energy transition. Okay. The electric vehicles. Globally, last year, if I recall correctly, the sale of electric vehicles was something like 26 million, around that number. China's and this number is going to increase over the next few years. By 2030, more than 40% of cars sold in China will be electric. More than 30% of cars sold all over the world will be electric. But currently in India, the share of electric vehicles is 2%, just about 2%. And possibly, and it's moving rather slowly, and possibly by 2030, it could be maybe 3, maybe 4%. Even that looks doubtful. In other words, the potential for growth in use of bioenergy in the automobile industry in India is still underexplored. Whereas that potential in other parts of the world, in developed countries, and of course in China, is rather limited. But if that were to happen, and that is sure to happen, that will surely impact crude oil prices, and it will also likely to impact your bioenergy pricing, and as Sood Saab said, the subsidy burden, etc., etc. I think there are multiple factors that are going to impact the sugar market, and not the least of which will obviously be crude oil prices and the consumption of oil in the automobile industry. Therefore, with this, what would be your thoughts, Sood Saab, on this? Plus, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, that is exactly what.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, if India were compelled to import ethanol for fuel from US under the BTA, I would like to draw Deepak's attention to the fact that our cost of production is very high to be able to export. So will you subsidize 20 rupees a liter? And who will subsidize? And with that, the industry is very efficient in processing. They need to do a couple of things more, which they will do. But the DDGS of high toxicity, where does it go? Then the corn prices are whatever they are. So they are not able to produce cheaper than that, although their conversion cost is low. So I am very doubtful about India being able to export anything other than ENA, the glass one. That's what we export. And other one is, in fact, I am a vehement, it's a wonderful thing for me to own, because governments across the world have tax relaxity very lightly. And India, the agriculturist gets free electricity, any amount. So already Sonalika has produced a tractor, electric tractor, small vehicles to carry goods, electric. So your subsidy burden will increase. Where will you produce electricity? Thermal plants. We have already got a pipeline, investment in the pipeline for $36 billion to invest. Last year, 7 gigawatt of additional thermal power was added. We have about half our capacity now on renewables, which includes hydropower plants, which will not come back again. There's one Bakra which we built. Where is the river? So the further increase has to come from wind and solar, because we have already counted what we have in hydro. So, and then the PLF is so low, it's about 20%. That thing produces power when you don't need it at daytime. You need more of it at night. And then the issue is storage. So, so all you're doing is to shift the pollution from city to another 20 kilometers away where there's a power plant in EV. The fresh sale of EV in India is 18%. An equal percentage of vehicles being sold are hybrid, where you don't depend on grid for charging your battery. The vehicle itself charges it. It is dual fuel. And so I think EV will meet its death because it will be unsustainable burden in India. You tax petrol 70 rupees a liter, how much do you tax on power? So, and this is true of most of the countries. And thank you very much.
Right, sir, right. Point taken. Thank you very much. I think we'll have one final round of concluding remarks that each one of the panelists can make. Any concluding remarks you may have?
Really don't have any other remarks other than on this biofuel. I just wanted to update that our country is also moving towards that. Policy is coming up soon, and so we hope that we can also implement, because the Indian policy is quite impressive, and I think our government is trying to replicate that. Other than that, I just want to say that I do not agree with your prediction of Brent going below 50. I feel that will probably not be the case. That is my opinion. And Dipinder here has come all the way from Australia to tell us that the world is in surplus next year. So I feel that sugar prices will see a decline over the coming year throughout the spectrum. That's about it.
Awesome. Thank you.
I would like to, specifically talk about the policies and how the policies have been a little lagging so far, and it's not been far-sighted in terms of both ethanol and in terms of handling the surpluses of the various commodities, which eventually we had to take knee-jerk reactions like giving FCI rice warehouses, and they don't have more space. The new procurement season comes up, and then they need to liquidate the stocks. So maybe a more structured approach on a pan-India basis, which sets up a proper vision for next 5 to 10 years. Of course, there will be weather events which fluctuates. Keeping those in mind and in calculations, we need to actually do a more focused approach on how to manage the surplus inventories. If we can start, if we can actually do that, there's a lot of other policy-related issues around it would automatically get sorted. It's my point of view.
So I'll go back to sugar and, sorry, I'll take 2 steps back to sugarcane, and my focus again to Africa. We are talking of productivity. Deepakji, one point is, as an agriculturist, on tender lands, on fresh lands, when we start growing cane or any crop, the productivities would be brilliant for next 5 years till the nutrients are exhausted. That's one point. Then weather, and we all are struggling. I mean, sugar, at one of the sessions we have discussed impacts of climatic change on sugar production, and we are, I think in India, we have seen that happening during the current season. So we can't control weather. It's nature, we can't control that. So that's the point when your availability of cane would peak out, and once you are at a plateau, to go from that plateau to a next 2 or 3 is the biggest challenge. We have seen that happening in UP, in Uttar Pradesh in India. The average productivities went up sharply after that CO2 38 was introduced, and then it started falling down as soon as the crop got susceptible to red rot. So I mean, there is potential, but we cannot just bank on that one potential that it will suddenly be that huge. We have to bear in mind, one, I'm just saying it's 2% annual growth rate in sugar consumption. This is 250,000 tons. But then in the inaugural session, the Honorable Chief Guest said that if Dar es Salaam would be much bigger, much populated. So that inflow of population may probably take that growth rate in sugar demand to 3 or 4%. So to keep accounting for that, I think supply may struggle to cope up.
Right.
So, yeah.
Deepinder, what you're saying is there is potential, but there are several headwinds buffeting, which can potentially impact this potential.
Yes, there is
Thank you.
potential,
Yeah.
but there is...
Right, yeah. Any closing remark, Deepak?
No, I totally agree with Kapil Bhai that actually policy is lagging, and we have to be a little bit more proactive in our policy making, specifically country like India, which is so large and big. I totally agree. Agronomy also is evolving, sir. See, actually, like, I would request people from Africa here, please just don't bite a bullet called Green Revolution without understanding actually how it can negatively impact your future. There are various ways and means. In fact, like, a lot of biological innovation has happened in sugarcane itself, like a lot of nutrient requirement. To understanding nature is the best answer to our current challenges, and with that I would end my.
Back to basics, basically. Okay, now I want to conclude this session. Strong signals from behind. I want to thank each one of my panelists for sharing their thought. They're all available. They're all available to each one of you during lunch break or whatever. Engage with them offline, and I'm sure you will have very, very interesting conversation with them. But Dilip has a question, as he always does. Yeah.
इंडिया जी एक्सपोर्ट करेगी सर इस साल लगता है आपको 2025 में कुछ चांसेस हैं चीनी का एक्सपोर्ट खोलेगी ओपन एक्सपोर्ट
देखिए बात यह है जैसी अभी तक क्रॉप डेवलपमेंट हो रही है 25-26 साल की उसमें अगर हम बहुत कंजर्वेटिव भी बात करें और मार्केट की बात नहीं समझें तो 34 मिलियन टन सुक्रोस हो सकता है जो 2 साल पहले था। आप वही समझिए कि जो गिरा था वो वापस आ गया और उसके सामने जो हमारे कई इश्यूज़ हैं जितना उसमें जाएगा तो करीब 1-1.5 मिलियन टन के एक्सपोर्ट के चांस हैं। अगर क्रॉप कहीं ज़्यादा हो गई तो फिर क्योंकि 38 मिलियन तक की बात हो रही है इस वक्त तो, पर मैं कह रहा हूँ कि एक कंजर्वेटिव बात से एक चंद्रशेखर जी से परमिशन मिली है मुझे क्लोजिंग रिमार्क के लिए विच इज़ वेरी प्रोवोकेटिव। अगर आप एडिबल ऑयल खाना बंद कर दें और साबुन इस्तेमाल करना बंद कर दें, कहीं वो लुब्रिकेशन में बंद कर दें और वो कर दें टैलो भी आ जाए बीच में, तो सब मिला के पेट्रोलियम का 5% बनता है। तो ये जो बायोफ्यूल की तरफ जा रहे हैं एक सौ रीथिंकिंग करनी पड़ेगी क्योंकि जो कंट्री उगाता है तेल वो बड़ा डेंजरस। इंडोनेशिया अभी 40% उनका डीजल ब्लेंडिंग है, 50 करने वाले हैं, 100 कर सकते हैं, चलेगा इंजन उसमें, पर जो पाम ऑयल खा रहे हैं तो ये पोटेंशियली इतना डेंजरस है। अर्जेंटीना और यूएस सारा सोयाबीन उसमें डाल दें और कैनोला ऑयल सब सारा हो रहा है, ये हर एक बंदा अपनी परसेंटेज बढ़ा रहा है, पर एंड रिजल्ट इज़ ओनली 5%। फिर भी आपको 95% पेट्रोलियम यूज़ करना है।
Very much. Biofuels, first it started with biodiesel in 2002. And therefore it hasn't made significant progress in India at all, number one. Number two, you talked about Indonesia. They are in B30, they are talking about B40. They are not anywhere near B40. And in my view, there will have to be a major transformation in their automobile engines for their engines to absorb B40 as an efficient fuel. There is a lot of talk that goes around the world that I know. What is the progress they have made? Hardly anything. Indonesia is serious, but their fiscal situation today is so fragile, they will not be able to absorb the subsidy burden that B40 will entail. This is my view. And therefore, we also have to take these targets of countries with a pinch of salt. Okay, so I think with this, this is food versus fuel has been a debate for at least 25 years that I am aware of. This will continue, but the point simply is global sugar market will continue to grow both as a food product and as a bioenergy product, but there are going to be headwinds, and therefore we have to exercise adequate caution to be able to read advanced signals from the marketplace. With this, we'll conclude this session. Thank you very much. All my panelists, good luck. God bless you all. Thanks.
Indeed, what a fabulous session. Ladies and gentlemen, and now as we conclude this session, I take pleasure inviting up on stage Miss Maggie and Mr. Ritesh Darji. Can I invite you both to kindly present felicitations to our esteemed panelists? Let's invite them with a nice warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, as we have the felicitations now being brought, I invite the first felicitation, of course, to be presented to our moderator of the session, to Mr. G. Chandrasekhar, and I invite you to join in with a nice warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, felicitations presented by Mr. Ritesh Darji and Ms. Maggie. Thank you so very much for joining us for the same. Mr. G, let's walk up forward, please. Mr. G.K. Sood. Thank you so very much, sir. Mr. Tayyab Balgamwala. Let's welcome him and thank him for his insights and participation in the session. Thank you so very much, sir. Mr. Kapil Nema. Thank you so very much, sir, for your participation. Have a nice warm round of applause. To Mr. Deepinder Singh Basara. Thank you so very much, sir. Yes, a nice warm round of applause, please. To Mr. Deepak Parekh, thank you so very much, sir. And Mr. G. Chandrasekhar, sir, thank you once again for moderating an absolutely fabulous panel discussion, very participative discussion here. Thank you once again, sir. I invite you all to kindly come together for a group photograph, please. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we conclude our morning session. We invite you all to kindly join us for lunch now in the food hall. I request you all to kindly conclude your lunch and be back in this hall at 2:15 p.m. so that we can commence with our post-lunch discussions. We have quite a few business sessions commencing with the panel discussion on maize, and then, of course, discussions on yellow peas, edible oil, oilseed, and of course, chickpeas, desi kabuli moong and beans, sesame seeds, and of course, the feed and oil cake session. Many interesting curated sessions just for you. We request you, please do conclude your lunch by 2:15 p.m. and be here back in this hall. We will commence with our next panel discussion on yellow peas post-sharp. Thank you very much. Enjoy your lunch. Bon appetit.
तेरा तौबा 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 It's the kids, baby.
My chérie, my yo, my yo motola, my zinelele, my baby yo, my yo motola, my zinelele, baby. Zini bande gijwani malololo, malololo, baby. Upo kwenye moyo kwa ndani malololo, malololo. Hakuna matata, oh matata, matata, tata tata. Hakuna matata, oh matata, matata, tata tata. You know, nakupenda tu, and I know, nakupenda, nakutaka wewe, so usinibande gijwani malololo, malololo, wewe upo kwenye moyo kwa ndani malololo, malololo. Hakuna matata, oh matata, matata, tata tata. Hakuna matata, oh matata, matata, tata tata.
It's the kids, baby.
Vishavu vimeanza kunona, kitambi ndo hichi sasa ona. Mtazame nanenepa, nami nimempata Chioma. Ulijichanganya, nalikupenda sana, wala kudanganya, ndo alokupozadia. Mujitia mfana, mara kuntukana, kwa kweli hapa ova mina wewe ova, ova imetosha ova, ova mina wewe ova, ova nimesema ova. Ulijichanganya, nalikupenda sana, wala kudanganya, ndo alokupozadia. Mujitia mfana, mara kuntukana, kwa kweli hapana. Nikasema ova dia, ova. Shilingi yatutoa roho. Shilingi yo ni mwana haramu. Shilingi ya uwa mapenzi. Ulijichanganya, nalikupenda sana, wala kudanganya, ndo alokupozadia. Mujitia mfana, mara kuntukana, kwa kweli hapana. Nikasema ova dia, ova mina wewe ova. Wendo kitumbua, wendo sambusa, basi njoni chumu baby ndo tuseme umesusa. Wendo mwisho wa reli, kwako nimeweka nukta. Walokwambia nala Zuchu sio kweli wanazusha. Wanaokaa vikao sisi kutuchaji, wape pole yao wanatwanga maji. Naongeze bidii kwenye urokaji, tukoteni jibi penzi fulu chaji. Fanya wainama, wainuka, kiku kinyanywe kama unatupa. Wainuka, kiku kinyanywe kisha kanuka. Mikochana na wewe chitaki, 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 chitaki mi. Kuachana na wewe chitaki, 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 chitaki mi. Mchana nikupe tango, siku ndizi swatata. Tuanze fanya mambo kabla umeme wachakata. Mapenzi mweze kiwango, na umejaliwa talanta. Na mnanijua kwa jambo, atoki mtu kwa mkapa. Yeah. Chi, 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 amuli cha 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 cha. Kamoyo ti, ti, ti. Nimeozaje sasa? Amuli chi, 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 amuli cha 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 cha. Kamoyo ti, ti, ti. Na kuwachaje sasa? Wanakaa vikao sisi kutuchaji, wanatwanga maji. Naongeze bidii kwenye urokaji, tukoteni jibi penzi fulu chaji. Fanya wainama, wainuka, kiku kinyanywe kama unatupa. Yani wainama, wainuka, kiku kinyanywe kisha kanuka. Mikochana na wewe chitaki, 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 chitaki mi. Kuachana na wewe chitaki, 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 chitaki mi.
Kila linalonifika, maana kukosea ni wajibu. Mola meshaandika, na mimi nimechaguliwa, na nitegemea achoki, hajawahi kupitiwa. Navyotuma viniue ndo vinanikuza, vinanipa ujasiri na kuwa gado kamili. Taka kunidhurumia, upite kwake kwanza. Mungu wangu halali, ana ulinzi mkali, na ndiyo maana naringa, 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 naringa. Nalindwa na Mungu, msinione navimba, navimba, navimba. maana kukosea ni wajibu. Mola meshaandika na sianguki, mimi nimechaguliwa, namtegemea achoki, hajawahi kupitiwa. Navyotuma viniue ndo vinanikuza, vinanipa ujasiri na kuwa gado kamili. Taka kunidhurumia upite kwake kwanza. Mungu wangu halali ana ulinzi mkali, na ndiyo maana naringa, 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 nalindwa na Mungu. Msinione navimba, 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 nalindwa na Mungu. Praise the God. Cheers to the Lord. Roho baya ubinafsi hajaumbiwa nyungu nyungu, wala mtu mwenye maarifa. Kweli mabaya sikosi, najua mazuri yangu mtayasema nikifa. Unaniona napambana kwa tabu na dhoruba, nilinde virogo vya walimwengu visinifike ngo. Utadhani wao hawana, umewapa vikubwa, ila bado hiki kidogo changu kinawatoa roho. Na sianguki, mimi nimechaguliwa, namtegemea hachoki, hajawahi kupitiwa. Navyotuma viniue ndo vinanikuza, vinanipa ujasiri na kuwa gado kamili. Taka kunidhurumia upite kwake kwanza. Mungu wangu halali ana ulinzi mkali, na ndiyo maana naringa, 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 nalindwa na Mungu. Msinione navimba, 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 nalindwa na Mungu. Nani Troni? Troni. You're Tron. See? Let's sing. Come on. Hey. Sioni aibu kwa kila linalonifika, maana kukosea ni wajibu. Mola meshaandika na sianguki, mimi nimechaguliwa, namtegemea achoki, hajawahi kupitiwa. Navyotuma viniue ndo vinanikuza, vinanipa ujasiri na kuwa gado kamili. Taka kunidhurumia upite kwake kwanza. Mungu wangu halali ana ulinzi mkali, na ndiyo maana naringa, 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 nalindwa na Mungu. Msinione navimba, 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 nalindwa na Mungu. Praise the God. Cheers to the Lord. Cheers to the Lord. Cheers to the Lord. Cheers to the Lord. Cheers to the Lord.
Maskosho ingenkinga. sekukubalisela
How'd you?
Masikhuphula imizwa
Wezombi.
sukumisa umzimba masikhohlwe ngenkinga sekukubalisela masikhuphula imizwa sukumisa umzimba komasava komasavanana ayesava ayesavanana
Comment ça va? Comment ça va? Comment ça va? Comment ça va? Aya ça va. Aya ça va. Aya ça va. Aya ça va. Aya ça va.
Comment ça va?
Comment ça va? What's the price to love you? Would you still leave here with me if I didn't have $1? You fucked up my Prada, put lipstick on my collar. Could be my dirty secret if we keep it undercover. Comment ça va? It's nice to meet you. You couldn't wait, so you said in the club. What made you walk my way? Was it my smile or my diamond rolling? You ain't see nobody else in the place till you heard me say, Comment ça va? Comment ça va? Comment ça va? Comment ça va?
Aya ça va. Aya ça va. Aya ça va.
Aya ça va.
Aya ça va. Aya ça va.
Comment ça va?
How are you? Unjan. ¿Cómo va? Habari gani? Ni hao. Assalamu alaikum. ¿Cómo estás, amigo? Namaste. ¿Cómo ça va? ¿Cómo ça va? ¿Cómo ça va? ¿Cómo ça va? Aya ça va. Aya ça va. Aya ça va. Aya ça va. Aya ça va.
Comment ça va?
Itiwe sanbonani amba namachita sepeteti yapila ntwana wena unjani ayiwena ngithi vele funani ayiwe zombie sanbonani amba namachita sepeteti yapila ntwana wena unjani ayiwena ngithi vele funani ayiwe zombie saba saba ay tata
Comment ça va? Comment ça va? Comment ça va? Comment ça va?
Itiwe sanbonani amba namachita sepeteti yapila ntwana wena unjani ayiwena ngithi vele funani ayiwe zombie sanbonani amba namachita sepeteti yapila ntwana wena unjani ayiwena ngithi vele funani ayiwe zombie saba ay tata
Comment ça va? Comment ça va? Comment ça va? Comment ça va? Aya ça va. 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 Comment ça va? Comment ça va? Comment ça va? Comment ça va? Aya ça va. Aya ça va. Aya ça va.
Got the boy coming number one. By esa.
It's the kids, baby.
Ah, ooh. Ah. Ukiwa mvivu ni rahisi sana kuwa na wivu, tuluji tuma tukachivu.
Uliwaza mapenzi tukawaza pesa. Ona yanavyokutesa, si kwetu ni sherehe. Oya leo sherehe. We don't really mind hata tukikesha. Liwake tekinyesha, leo siku ya sherehe. Oya leo sherehe. Wanangu huku kuna sherehe, huku kuna sherehe, huku ni sherehe. Leo huku kuna sherehe, huku kuna sherehe, huku ni sherehe. Kuonga kubaya ukiwa huna, ila tulojipata kwetu suna. Wejigambe unamkuna, huku walona meno wanatafuna. Mwenye kisu kikali kala nyama leo, kidari kachwa na jimama leo. Kwetu kuna sherehe, oya leo sherehe. Mpaka kesho tumeanza leo. Wasiotoka wametoka leo, wameifuata sherehe. Oya kwetu kuna sherehe. Uliwaza mapenzi tukawaza pesa. Ona yanavyokutesa, si kwetu ni sherehe. Oya leo sherehe. We don't really mind hata tukikesha. Liwake tekinyesha, leo siku ya sherehe. Oya leo sherehe. Wanangu huku kuna sherehe, huku kuna sherehe, huku ni sherehe. Leo huku kuna sherehe, huku kuna sherehe, huku ni sherehe.
It's the kids, baby.
Give me your number, I swear. Simpi mwingine. Tell me your name, oh. Cause I see that you unanipa raha, napata usingizi, naona shapenda, wacha tujuane. Big moyo, tell me now. Big moyo, tell me now. Please tell me now. Are you falling, angel? You make me fly away, away with your love. Tell me now. Are you falling, angel? Make me fly, fly away, away with your love. My amor, my amor, my amor. I say my amor, my amor, my amor, my amor. Mina talanta, ukionja wala tojuta. Yako tamtam, ukinipa sitobakiza. Yeah, I want to say top notch, girl, top notch. Vacation a pocket, your birthday to part. When you wivu wa catch. Top notch, girl, top notch. Vacation a pocket, your birthday to part. When you wivu, tell me now. Please tell me now. Are you falling, angel? You make me fly away, away with your love. Tell me now. Are you falling, angel? Make me fly, fly away, away. Oh, my amor, my amor, my amor. I say my amor, my amor, my amor, my amor.
Kibana ba, kibaka nikamata nashindwa kugawanya shufa na namba tasa. Tasa kusema kweli nimenasa. Nasa alivyo fresh ya juu atakudanga. Mimi pekee ndo namuona kwa kitabu. Ndo maana peace ya mzee na peace ni moja namba.
My amor, my amor, my amor, my amor. I say my amor, my amor, my amor, my amor, my amor, my amor.
Baby, umenikamata, your eyes on me. Kwa moyo hakuna matata, shaka kambi. Lonely, nime falling kwa penzi lako shatatata. When you call me, sauti yako inanikamata. In the morning, nacheza rumba chaka-cha-cha-cha. And you know me, when I'm falling, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sisi amenishika haswa. Sando nini navyopenda huyo hapa. Saivi na vimba nikitembea na
kucheza, taimba na kucheza. Kucheza, taimba na kucheza. Kucheza, taimba na kucheza. When you call me, sauti yako inanikamata. In the morning, nacheza rumba chaka-cha-cha-cha. And you know me, when I'm falling, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I be talking to myself, and I don't even notice. She got me feeling like a zombie, and she dey shoot like Chuck Norris. The way she put her body down, you got me falling truly. I just touched down. When I see you now, subbing on the phone, calling you tonight. I wanna make you show me, make me know the fight. I don't wanna sleep alone, wanna hold you tight. I fool my eye, but I'll be alright. Forever, on my laptop, on my keto, on my chiton. Say them go feel it, them go run it down, them go hold it, them go. Say them go feel it, them go run it down, them go hold it, them go. I don't know, no. Make them they turn up. They don't see me coming. Are you ready for me? Energy like cocaine. Cream they like cream. When I lose TV enter, then I go bring you to end my love. Say you want to see enter. I don't give them back to send out. I know. Policeman, many men in my convoy. The boy know they take his off. If he knows, they go give you a back up. And as the money don't they come like us. Don't you go piss off this sauce. When I know I see me enter, they never agree you to enter my love. Say you want to see mental. Give them back to sender, why not? When I look at TV, then I go bring you to end my love. Say you want to see mental, I don't give them back to sender, why not? Fake because under the influence, she wanna get freaky, make your baby to want from me. You wanna see for somebody, she's trying to get up the street. You were here for somebody, soldier, policeman, many men in my camp, boy. The boy, you know they take it so. Baby Joe never give you a back up. And if the money don't they come like curse. Nothing we can stop this sauce.
Thank you so much, brother, for that very lively music. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We hope those of you who are in the hall have had a nice, sumptuous lunch so that we are all energized for a very productive and fruitful session to follow. Fruitful से याद आया, आप सभी ने fruits खाए ना? बहुत ज़बरदस्त fruits मिलते हैं यहाँ पर तंजानिया में. चाहिए तो fruit plate ले आइए यहाँ पर. खुद को बैठे-बैठे energize भी कीजिए और यहाँ पर ज्ञान का सेवन भी लीजिए, because very shortly we're going to start with our post lunch session. तो मैं एक दरख्वास्त करता हूँ जितने हमारे दोस्त बाहर फूड हॉल फूड कोर्ट में हैं, जल्द से जल्द अपना लंच अगर खत्म कर सकते हो तो जल्दी से कीजिए और वापस इस हॉल के भीतर आ जाइए. Once again, friends, may we request all of you to join us in the hall. We are post lunch session very shortly. Thank you.
Kima? We outside. Yeah. The African princess.
Today I wanna tell a story.
Tell a story.
Nishomizwaga na sikomi, machoni nishatokwaga na machozi. So baby don't do me like them, baby don't do me like them, 'cause it no matter hata tukigombana waga tunapatana. Sina kitete sina mapepe, we nanjwaga sana, si tunapendana paka tunafanana. Sina kitete sina mapepe, 'cause I don't want wahala. 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 I don't want wahala.
Come to my babe. You love drive me like hell. Come again, come again, come again. I don't come to my babe. You love drive me like hell. Come again, come again, come again. I don't wanna feel no pain. Okay.
I don't want wahala. I don't want wahala.
Yatela, don't do that to me. I've been hurt so many times before.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who have concluded your lunch, we request you, may you please join us back in the room. We are commencing with the post-lunch session right away. Thank you so much, DJ. Thank you very much. We love the local Tanzanian flavors. We love the local Tanzanian music as well. And thank you. जरा हमारे DJ भाई साहब के लिए जोरों से तालियां हो जाए. Non-stop जबरदस्त गाने बजा रहे हैं यहाँ पर. Thank you so much, brother. All right, तो जितने बैठे हैं यहाँ पर सब तैयार है पोस्ट लंच सेशन के लिए, क्योंकि शुरू होगा पैनल डिस्कशन ऑन maize. और I'm sure all our traders, industry leaders, experts जितने बैठे हैं, everybody would love to participate in this much awaited discussion. और इसके बाद बहुत सारे और पैनल डिस्कशंस होंगे. तब तक जितने हमारे दोस्त बाहर फूड हॉल फूड कोर्ट में हैं, आपसे एक निवेदन है कि जल्द से जल्द अगर आपका लंच खत्म हुआ हो तो जल्द से जल्द इस हॉल के भीतर आ जाए ताकि पैनल डिस्कशन हम सही वक्त पर शुरू कर पाए. दोस्तों, जैसे कि आप सभी को पता है ये डे 2 है और डे 2 में पैनल डिस्कशंस बिजनेस सेशंस तो होते रहेंगे, लेकिन शाम को जबरदस्त ग्लिटरिंग ग्रैंड अवार्ड गाला भी होने जा रहा है जिसमें ऑफ कोर्स आप सब भाग लेंगे. एंड वी आर लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू सेलिब्रेटिंग द फाइनेस्ट एंड द मोस्ट इंस्पायरिंग ऑफ अस अमंगस्ट अस इन दिस रूम राइट हियर in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. So we have a very exciting day indeed, and we'd like to get started right away because बहुत सारे productive, fulfilling sessions है जिसमें हम एक बार फिर से आपसे निवेदन करेंगे कि आप सब इसमें भाग ले, and all of us together will participate and make a better place. तो एक बार फिर से जितने हमारे दोस्त बाहर हैं फूड कोर्ट फूड हॉल में, जल्द से जल्द आ जाइए भीतर because we are ready to commence with our post lunch session right away. And now, ladies and gentlemen, We are ready to begin a panel discussion on maize. I invite each and every one of you to kindly join me in welcoming our esteemed panelists up on stage. Moderating this session is Mr. Sanjay Sethi, food sustainability expert, and I invite Mr. Sanjay Sethi, along with each and every one of your applause, to kindly join us on stage. Welcome, sir. We hope we've all eaten some nice, good maize. The corn over here in maize बहुत अच्छा है, तो maize खा के अभी maize की चर्चा करेंगे.
White or yellow?
दोनों सर, मुझे maize बहुत पसंद है. मेरे मेज पे अगर मेज आ जाए तो मैं बहुत खुश होता हूँ, खाना भी खाता हूँ. और इसी के साथ we'd like to welcome all our esteemed panelists. For Mr. S.N. Mishra, Vice President, Procurement and Commercial, Centenary Byproducts Private Limited. Welcome, Mr. Mishra. दोस्तों अभी तक लंच खाए कि नहीं? थोड़ी सी एनर्जी आ रही है ना, तो उस एनर्जी के साथ आप प्लीज जोरों से तालियां बजाएं एंड स्वागत कीजिए हमारे पैनलिस्ट का. जो सबसे जोरों से ताली बजाएगा उनको 1 बैग मेज फ्री. हाँ जी, बहुत जबरदस्त. और अब आगे बढ़ते हैं. Let's welcome Mr. Mohit Sabharwal, Director, Agri Commodities, Global Link Commodity. Let's welcome Mr. Sabharwal up on stage. We'd also like to welcome all our panelists. Mr. Kanhayalal Agarwal, Director of Farm India Impex. I'd also like to invite Mr. Amit Bansal, Head Supply Chain, Star Agri. I'd also like to invite Mr. Ritesh Darji, CEO of METL. तालियां हो जाए दोस्तों. I'd like to invite Mr. Pranav Joshi, ETG Tanzania. Once again, may I request our esteemed kindly join us on stage. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we have our panelists joining us here. Please, स्वागत कीजिए इन सभी का जोरों के साथ. Thank you so much, sir. Please do join us. I also invite Mr. Deepak Parikh. Sir, please join us on stage. Mr. Deepak Parikh, as we all know, from Honeybee Tech Incubations Private Limited. Once again, inviting Mr. Deepak Parikh, sir, please do join us on stage for this discussion on maize. Mr. Deepak Parikh always says, I like to be surprised in a wildcard entry. आ जाइए, sir. एक बार फिर से, I invite the rest of our panelists in this session. So, Mr. Ritesh Darji, sir, please do join us on stage. I also invite Mr. Mohit Sabharwal. Mr. Mohit Sabharwal, if you are here, please join us on stage. We are commencing the discussion right now. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we are commencing the panel discussion on maize. जितने हमारे दोस्त बाहर लंच कोर्ट के हैं, जल्दी से आ जाइए. अगर आपके प्लेट में मेज हो तो खा के पैनल डिस्कशन एंजॉय कीजिए.
Mohit is not there. Can you make an announcement for Mohit?
Once again, inviting Mr. Mohit Sabharwal. Sir, if you are here with us, please join us on stage right now. Inviting Mr. Mohit Sabharwal. We are commencing this panel discussion. If you are here in the food court area, please join us on stage. Handing over to our moderator, Mr. Sanjay Sethi. Sir, please do take this forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sanjay Sethi. I'm here to look at what is happening in the maize trade, India, Africa, and globally. Most of you would have heard that rice and wheat used to get a lot of support from the MSP, which they continue to do in India. But there are more commodities. Maize is one of them where the MSP was announced. Not only that, maize also got a lot of support from the ethanol trade, with the government allowing the blending of ethanol into petrol from 20% to 27%, which is a recent decision. The prices of maize are going to get affected because of this, because the demand for maize is the most popular commodity for the feed sector as well. So maize has got a lot of demand, and recently, because of the ethanol business, DDGS also started getting into the conversation of Indian traders. So now we look at how we can grow maize in a country like India in a way that it is sustainable. As many of you already know, that maize cultivation is very, very susceptible to both the heat. That is why the best way of growing maize is to do it in a proper, create the bunds, and then you grow it so that even if there is a flooding, the maize cultivation is not affected. In India, spring maize has been growing very rapidly because the conditions for the maize growth are the ideal in spring. That means you grow maize in the month of February and you harvest in about 3 months' time. So that kind of an opportunity is highly discouraged by governments. Number one, people do not grow maize in February, they end up growing in March, and at that time, instead of giving a water 3 times to 4 times in the whole season, you end up giving more than 10 times. In some cases, even more than 15 times. So that means the water consumption goes up very, very high, almost slightly less than. So that affects the maize growing in India, because Indian government is very, very conscious of the water requirement. The second thing why the government of India does not encourage the spring maize, grow it in the month of February, virtually you will replace most likely the wheat. And wheat is something which is very important for the government of India, and they want to ensure that the wheat cultivation is not impacted, and that's the reason that government of India does not support it. And that is why there is about 200 to 250,000 acres of area which is in Punjab, which comes under the maize cultivation, and government of India is not even reported about this. So that means the maize is a crop which can grow in summer, it can grow in winter, it can grow in other seasons, provided you know how to cultivate the maize properly, taking care of the various practices. So as far as the Kharif is concerned, government of India is very keen to replace rice with Kharif, but there are few takers for that. Yet slowly, slowly the maize area is going up. Very exciting crop. So I would first like to start with Deepak. Deepak, you have been working with the policymakers very closely, and you can tell us what exactly are the factors which are ensuring that the maize cultivation is growing, and what are the opportunities for the traders here, and how you see the outlook in the next, I would say, 2 to 3 years. So kindly restrict your speech in 3 to 5 minutes, please.
Yeah, sure. That's an interesting aspect. See, first of all, I'll be very frank with you. Government is not even concerned or even looking at maize. Right? This is something which has been I'll say that oversold. That actually government is thinking about maize as such. That perception also come because actually we are having election in Bihar, and Bihar is one of the largest maize producers. So generally, government intervention is only up to the level of MSP. Now, going to the broader picture of what is the future direction where the maize trade would go. Currently, I won't say that actually we are looking at too much of high prices for 2 reasons. One is that actually we are already seeing that a better sugarcane crop will definitely you'll have a diversion, lot of coming from ethanol coming from sugarcane syrup or molasses rather than the maize itself. As such, I would trigger that actually we always celebrate that ethanol policy of government. But the maize trade has been actually is also one of the big challenge for the reason actually it has literally killed the soybean trade. When you are creating ethanol from maize, what happens is that actually you are having DDGS, which eventually impact your soya meal. If the soya meal prices crash, then actually you are having challenge where offtake of farmer soybean has not happened. And itself, we'll be having another session on that. So I would say that government understand all these aspects, and I would not be seeing that actually government is very keen to promote maize or give far more incentive post Bihar election. They've already done that for MSP. Another thing, when you talk about overall trade, from next exporter now we are a next importer. So even government is not very keen that we should be having far more import coming in. So I believe the balancing out would be there. Currently, if you ask me, I am not seeing too much of upside going forward in the maize. The prices are pretty much, I am saying that range bound from here going forward.
Thank you. So Ritesh ji, you are running a company called Metal, right? So you chose a metal name for a agri commodity.
No.
And
Basically, there is a full name to it. It's
Okay,
not
okay.
only metal. It's
So-
METL, Mohammed Enterprise Tanzania Limited.
So you are trading in maize.
Yeah, we
So
do trade
can you-
maize a lot.
Can you tell us what exactly you do and what is your outlook for maize in the coming next 2 to 3 years? What is your advice for the
So what I can is only on the Tanzania and the Africa levels. Is only on the Tanzania and the Africa levels because I operate the maize only here. If you see Tanzania, recently the maize production has increased tremendously. Mostly here you see is just a white maize. Because if you see on the Eastern Africa side, white maize. Because if you see on the Eastern Africa side, the maize flour is a very staple food. Eat the maize flour more, either they in the so considering this, all the factors and the demand increase, the Tanzania production is, if you see for the last season, 24-25 season, Tanzania has produced near to 12 million tons, which is one of the highest number in many years for this country. Which is one of the highest number in many years for this country. If you see overall Africa, 150 million ton, which is the demand. And the major demand comes from East Africa, where it's a staple food, and also some part of West. Remaining all regions is being used as animal feed or maybe to use to make the ethanols. The recent surge in demand in Tanzania is due to the shortage of crops across the neighboring countries. If you see right now, Kenya, they doesn't have enough maize, so they buy from Tanzania. Same way, if you see going towards Rwanda or those countries, the maize consumption is increasing recently. So if you look at Tanzania market, what we basically do is we buy the maize here and we trade. We also have a maize flour mill, so sometimes we make the maize flour also out of it. So that is also another alternative which we use. And there are certain lower grade of maize available around here, which we can use it for the poultry farms and all those things.
maize processing in Africa? So when they harvest it, it's at a very high moisture. They don't harvest at the time of when it is actually dried up. And most of the processing units, they do not dry it properly, or they do not have the right kind of drying equipment. As a result, the aflatoxin in the maize or sema or the ugali or whatever products, flour products which are they're making, the aflatoxin goes in there. And that's a health hazard for various diseases, including cancer. So what's your take on this, and what do you suggest to the processors in Africa as to what they should be doing?
Of course, as what you have said is very correct in all the way. Here the maize, basically people have started harvesting from the time they are very immature, moisture is high, and there are a lot of concerns regarding this. Of course, this is all because of the high competition in market. There are few seasons only in Tanzania for harvesting. There are 1 or 2 seasons, and by the time the season is approaching, country is already in the shortage. Either it is in shortage, or either it is because the people are holding the stocks and they are not liquidating in market. So this kind of situations are there. So I think government has to come with some policy decisions on this. If you see, look at ourselves, we always make sure we have these drying facilities and everything. So we control that aflatoxin level. In this country, the big millers, they produce only 10 to 15% of maize flour. Remaining all is the small people running the small, maize mills.
Cottage industry.
So that's where the big problems are coming from. But of course, again, many times the issue has been raised to the agriculture ministry here, And there are a lot of complaints have been done, and ministry is really working hard on it right now. So ministry is, I think, very soon coming with certain plans. In those plans, they want to, decide the exact timing of the, harvesting of this, cultivation and harvesting of this maize. So they are coming with some calendar and all those things, and they are going to tightly monitor the same. But it's a long way to go. And being the, the African environment in which these people are working so far, it looks difficult, but let's hope for the best.
Is there any product in the market or any trials or experiments done where people have tried to mix maize flour with some?
As per my knowledge, I haven't seen anything like this yet. There is nothing like that. There is some people in between were saying that might be some medicine mixture going on, but there is no proper confirmed reports on that.
Okay, thank you. So Kanhaiya ji, Shri Kanhaiya Agrawal is the Director of Farm India Impacts. So as the name suggests, are you only in India or you are outside India?
We are India, but now we have started an office in Tanzania too.
And is maize your major commodity, or is it a secondary or tertiary?
One of the major commodities.
One of the major. So can you tell us that how the money can be made in maize trade, especially keeping in mind Middle East, India and Africa trade?
How much consultancy fee are you willing to give it to me for suggesting you to make money?
So
Okay,
what's
just
your advice
jokes
for
apart.
all of us?
See,
Yes.
Maize has become a very important commodity in India. Especially after setting up of ethanol units. So
keep it closer.
Earlier it was considered a
keep it closer.
Poultry and maize was not an important crop in India earlier. Now government focus plus all the industries focusing on growing maize to meet three major industries requirement in ethanol. I feel in coming years to grow rapidly, and if I would say last couple of years have been rocky, like there have been too many ups and downs. Maize is going to be one-way traffic. There's going to be a steady rise in base price. So if you want to trade maize and make money, you better be long than be short.
Okay, so any particular advice to Indian traders, those who trade less in the white maize? Is there an opportunity for Indian traders there in white maize?
No, there is no. We don't grow white maize in India. We don't grow white maize in India. We only grow yellow maize.
Yes, so any opportunity for Indian traders to get into this trade?
Use white maize, but we don't grow that. We used to grow that 20 years back, but I don't know for whatever reasons the farmers have stopped growing.
Okay, so over to you, Mishra ji. You have been in the feed sector for a very long time, and you have been a buyer of maize, right? So can you tell us that when you buy maize as a feed, what are the opportunities for the traders as compared to buying maize for the other food sectors? So what is that the trader should keep in mind, and how they can maximize the opportunities which are available in the trade, which usually go unnoticed, and buyers like Suguna or other feed manufacturers, they value it. So can you tell us about that?
Sir, basically, maize is a current, as of now, it is a very hot cake kind of thing in the market because of that ethanol and poultry as well. Basically, poultry is using more than 47%, 48% of maize of the total production of India. And ethanol is also using not more than 3 to 5% total consumption. And what are the projection for the? Everyone is struggling with the quality of maize, especially so. Any trader, anyone wants to make good margin in the maize trade, so we have to be focused on maize quality. Quality maize is very important. everyone is looking for that. Poultry basically requirement is different. There is a toxin barrier, and which is not able. Actually, producer is not able to control that directly because it is related to the somewhere it is related to the environment, somewhere it is related climatic condition. So, it controlling the toxin in the maize is very difficult as of now. So, but other things like post-harvest things like fungus and damage can be controlled by the good focus on that. Basically, if you consider that that Punjab farmers and traders, grains having, but they have installed the dryer in the mandi and they are drying and selling to the end consumers. So that is the value addition in Punjab. And other state also, like Bihar, they don't have that much infrastructure to maintain the good practices of post-harvest. So, maintain the good practices of post-harvest. So, these kind of things need to implement and to make the, and for the industry out to the farmer is not like that. They are giving the data, and for Punjab especially, government is very focused. They are going, they are giving incentive around 17,000 rupees per hectare to grow the maize for spring, because this Punjabi spring season maize is more basically famous. So that way we can.
So everybody is talking about the post-harvest and the quality deterioration. So can you tell us, Amit, you are with Star Agri, and Star Agri as at the forefront of warehousing, and you are also heading supply chain there. So what are the things that we can take care in warehousing so that the quality deterioration does not take place, aflatoxin does not come, and at the same time we are able to use this advantage to generate funding for the trade? So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, good afternoon everyone. So there are two things. One, you have said like preservation of the stocks. So if you will see, whoever is stocking the maize in the private warehousing or any of either their own warehouses, so usually they keep the moisture up to 14%. So that can be carried for 6 to 8 months, so that can be manageable. Over than that, so, if at the time of storage, moisture is more than 16%, then fungus and like Mishra ji has told, aflatoxin chances are very high. So we usually store maize, rest depend on the client, because if someone is interested for low price, so they may buy at the higher moisture. But usually more than 90% is at 14 to 15% max. So at that moisture level, by proper aeration and timely fumigation, so I think maize can be kept for 6 to 8 months. Like in Bihar, you will see a single season is there. So usually entire eastern part, Bihar, Bengal store at the time of harvest. So that's they use those store material in December, Jan, and the last quarter of the year. So they